We are really juicing out the concepts of human-centered design and change management and agile to really help individuals understand, how am I doing work today, where am I getting blocked, and how to reimagine it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Reanimated Stories. I am Roger Jorns, your host of Reanimation Design, and today I am joined by Mindy. Mindy and I have worked together for quite a few years. Through Disrupt HR Austin, we were able to get to know each other. Mindy is doing amazing things, and I am very excited to have her share her story. Mindy, thank you so much for coming out today.
Roger, I am so excited. I just love our conversation, so thanks for inviting me.
Of course, yeah, definitely. And so, Mindy, what I want you to do is please just tell everybody, what it is that you do. You're in HR, but you have a cool background as well. So just tell us a little bit about what you do and who you are, and I'd love to share that.
Thanks so much, Roger. So I am an HR professional, as you said. I love what I do, Roger. I've been in human resources for over 25 years. I came through the world of social work, started at Microsoft in recruiting, and I have been so blessed to go from there to where I am at now, through publicly traded companies to smaller organizations with venture capital, private equity. And as I grew in leadership roles, really started to work in smaller organizations. And after my last chief people officer role, really started to look for what is my next full-time job. I just thought that's what you do, right? And as I was interviewing, I had some really interesting divine appointments with friends that I've worked with before that were, oh, you have time, come help me with this, come help me think through this. And then the interview processes also were more advisory in nature, Roger, where it really felt that instead of the typical interview of like, hey, what do you think you're going to add to this role? What is your past experience and how does that add value here? Share more about that experience. It really was an interesting retrospective of my thoughts on what do you think we need after talking with the individuals on the team and the job description. What do you think the current state and the future desired state would be? Because it actually, in these smaller organizations, became really clear that they were having a really hard time articulating what is the value that we're looking from our people function. How does this go beyond just payroll and benefits and a transactional part of what we do and really tie into our strategy? A lot of the conversations were, okay, Mindy, you're really speaking about people in a different way. We've never heard people talk about people. It aligned with the workflows and technology of the business strategy. And I just saw them having a difficult time wrapping their heads around that and really thinking from a value perspective, because it's from a strategic lens, right? That question. And someone ended up hiring me as an HR advisor and going and rewriting the job description for what it was that they were looking for from a people leader at that time, and hired someone that looked really different based on where they were at and where they're truly looking to grow. And that really opened up my mind and my journey then to be, all right, I thought this was the path I was on, but feeling very called that there's something different here. And then really realizing that I needed to go back and really seek to understand what's next with all the incredible gifted talents that I was born into, the incredible experiences that I had leading up to that moment, and how is that being woven together and being open for something completely different. And that was Agile and HR and the world of fractional work. I never intended for that to become a full-time thing. It was meant to be a moment in time because I was still interviewing for full-time jobs. And that was my lack of faith of, this is what I have called for you to do, because I didn't truly step into that. It wasn't until 2024 when I had a coach that said, Mindy, you are never going to fully realize unless you take a leap of faith and truly trust and try this Agile and HR full on. And so in 2024, I did that. I let go of what felt safe at the time, of what I knew, what I could control, really, at the end of the day, is what I could control and truly step into a very scary. I said I put on a squirrel suit and jumped off the cliff and really embraced what was next for me and really seeking day to day what is held true for today and really seeking discernment around, I woke up today and what does this look like? And I'm not in control. And that just has really, since 2024, just what a beautiful landscape of what I do now. Agile and HR has transformed into really a mentor coaching and advisory capacity of coming alongside HR professionals and leaders in small, medium businesses. So instead of just being this fractional leader that drops in, we could talk about the world of fractional, but into this unique niche of the HR person intact, helping come alongside of them in so many different ways of where they're at in the journey, helping them see themselves differently, helping them step into a strategic conversation within the business. What does that look like to enter? How does it to think of oneself as strategic and able to be a part of that conversation to truly align people, process, and systems. And so that has been such a joy to uplift the individual, to guide them to they're the hero in the story, to then see micro drops of change, of positive impact that they are able to have within the organization and start to see everyone else shift their mindset around people because that person's showing up and holding very different conversations. And then that really has emerged into areas of opportunity to come alongside HR tech companies as an advisor. I get to part-time be a customer success leader with an organization called MeBot, which is an AI workplace assistant. I also have started a community and co-founded that with Marnie Robbins called Alt HR Hive. We really saw the power of the individual work that we were doing with HR leaders and really seeing a gap in the power of learning in community and what would it look like to bring the people we were working with in our own unique businesses, but bring them together into a really thoughtful place to come messy, leave elevated, and workshop on current issues, but learn new ways and reimagine new ways of working while they're actually thinking through current work problems, applying the new tools and resources as needed, and also be able to get some work done. And that pilot has now turned into and morphed and elevated. I feel like it's in metamorphosis right now. It's seeing the individuals coming into the conversation and truly coming messy and leaving, as we say, elevated. I know I've said that multiple times because I don't even feel like I'm doing anything, Roger. Marnie and I are just creating the space and the conversation and then being able to come in alongside as needed. But really, most of the work is being done by the individuals in that room and seeing them see each other and give each other insights and data. And then even realizing in their own moment in that conversation, wow, I just added value. My experience just added value. I have value. And that's the power of these learning communities. And it's been such a gift to be able to see that grow, and we're excited to see what happens. Now, that's a long-winded answer of all the things that I get to do. And then we drop in how I somehow found myself as a voluntold staff member at my church.
Oh, wow. That's cool. I did not know that. That's really awesome. Mindy, it's so funny because, we worked at Disrupt HR Austin, and in our meetings, I'll usually say something funny or just something random and all that. And then everybody takes their turn. Mindy, I've never heard you talk so long. I love that because I love how passionate you are. Every time I think back to those meetings where you were talking about sponsors or you were talking about this talk that you heard, I was like, okay, Mindy's excited. And Mindy, I love the excitement that you have. Starting a community and how you love that, and Agile and HR. When I first met you, I thought that you were already full-time doing that. So I actually didn't know that you were still looking. I thought you were just gung-ho doing that. We all just found out something new together as a podcast. So that's really cool. That's really awesome. But I do know that the past year through 2024, I do know that you were talking about certain things, but I thought it was more that you were just growing through that. So that's super awesome that you were doing that. I loved how you said, I'm creating a space. And through what you just said, that was wonderful because you said, I'm not really doing anything, right? But when people want to be heard and when people are longing, right, to be heard and to be seen, it's like, oh, someone is actually listening to us now. Remember when I first got into Disrupt HR, I was like, well, I don't really know what this is. But now seeing the community around that, and I'm like, I don't really have anything to do with HR or anything like that. I'm a web designer, I do marketing and all that. But seeing all of that and seeing the desire that people have to be heard and to collaborate and to network, you're providing that space, you and Marnie, and that's awesome. I loved how you said with, an Agile and HR. I remember you telling me, you're like, oh, I used to actually do social work. And I was like, what? I love that experience because you bring unique perspective, not just in Agile and HR, but also in your community because you're helping them be seen and heard, but you're really helping them think through strategy and being seen as a whole person, which is obviously very much coming into play in everything that you're doing. And I think that is really awesome. How did your social work come into play with Agile and HR and just kind of life experience in general?
Oh, that's such a good question, Roger. So, social work, when we go back and you think about it, I didn't realize it until I entered the tech world that I was really doing human centered design and project management
Mm.
and agile, but for the person,
Yeah.
because it's really about understanding the person that you are looking to take from where they're at today, understand where they at the current state, come alongside of them to create that level of self awareness for them. And in order to really empower and equip them with the right tools and resources, be able to identify where within the ecosystem and their communities where they may not have access or awareness of how to get to some of the tools and resources and make those doors and connections open for them so that as you create a plan of change behavior, often, not always, I'm really watering this down to get to the point faster, but you're really thinking about current state, where are they at today? Where is that future desired state? And then what might be missing from their tool belt that we need to make available, connect them to so that they can start on the journey. And what is that one thing within their remit, within their control to be able to take that first step? Because you don't want to drop too much change all at once because you as humans, we can only do a few things new well because it's hard to change. It's really like habits, right? If you want to break it down into simpler terms, it's like habits. Learning is putting on a new way of doing something, a new behavior. And letting go is not easy either because that's a stronger neural pathway in our brain. We're building up a new one that needs to become stronger than the old one, which is so hard. Like our brains, I wish it burned calories at the same time. Maybe it does. I'm not smart enough. That's to ask ChatGPT or a doctor. But these, the learning and the reinforcement of that learning and understanding, okay, what worked, what didn't work, what do we let go, what do we need to try differently? And that's all in this speak of agile within technology and project management and self-reflection. And so all those tools I had as a social worker when I entered into Microsoft, I was like, oh my goodness, I was just picking up, it's just different language, right? It's a different database of taking this word, putting it to this one. And so I didn't realize so much power. I did a little bit because I became interested in workplaces because I was working with juvenile offenders in the public defender's office in my social work program. And I saw the adults in their lives coming home into their communities less than and
Mm.
not modeling self-worth because we're not born with this concept of self-worth. It's
Yeah.
modeled for us. And so I've always thought I've just been wired and born. How do we find a better way? How do we make a difference? How do we help each other? How can we make it so they don't even need Mindy? And so that's where I got interested in workplaces. And my husband is 3 years older than me, and he was working in a workplace while I was still in college. He started to also see, I think, before me, through my studies and hearing me talk and some of the things he was stepping through in work. And he actually introduced me to their HR person. So all those divine appointments
Yeah.
together.
That's cool. That's so amazing. It's like, oh, well, I've done this one thing over here, right? But it's like, well, that's actually the same thing that we did over here, but that was just a different name, right? It's a industry specific
Yeah.
name or something like that, right?
Yeah.
That's so cool. I didn't know that about your husband. I didn't realize that he had introduced you to that. So that's super cool. So you've been doing that. And then obviously that led you to do more consultants. And now you're doing advising.
Yeah.
And now you're instead of just one company, multiple companies. But now
Yes.
then you're also helping individual peoples in that
Mhm.
company.
That's
Now you've
right.
also not instead of, but on top of, right?
That's right. I'm doing
With
them all.
Marnie. Yeah, you're doing, and I'm sorry, what's the name of it? It's Alt HR,
Yeah,
right?
alt
Yeah,
HR,
Alt HR.
Hive.
Yeah, yeah,
And so
yeah.
it's like
Tell us
alt
a little
for
bit about that.
alternative or altitude, and Hive as in if you get nerdy like me, you'd start looking at bees in a
Yeah.
hive. And, they do if you want to look it up, waggle dance. That's super interesting.
Oh,
I'm a
okay.
past dancer, so I
Okay.
just really started to find the bee-ness in myself.
That's awesome. Tell us a little bit about, so who is this community for? What do you guys
Yeah.
do in that community?
Yeah. So the communities for HR professionals and leaders and human resources can be so many things. What I love about HR is 31 flavors. You have a lot of different flavors. You could be in payroll or HR or so many different things, which I love about the unique diversity of the human resource people ops function. Wherever you fall within that, our community is for you. If we were to simplify all the things that happen within the community, because there's so many communities, there's so many amazing communities. I would say ours is uniquely different in which we aren't just listen to a video here, listen to a video there. Yes, we have conversation. It's free to join people asking for help and come alongside of each other, but we really are really juicing out the concepts of human-centered design and change management and agile to really help individuals understand, how am I doing work today? Where am I getting blocked? And how to reimagine it. And this is what we need in order to, as a function, remain relevant right now. We just saw so many individuals in overwhelm and be in that overwhelm, really shutting down and getting to a place of less than thoughts and a lack of confidence. And I could go on about that. It felt like something's missing here. How do we better come together to change this narrative? And so Alt HR was born out of the heart to really help our function thrive in the way of where we're at today as a world and of business and into the future.
That's awesome. I love that. It's interesting because it's like it's alt HR, and it's a place where they can go to
Yeah.
express those feelings, to be like, oh,
Yes.
hey, because I think one of the things that is so powerful about community is that, like, oh, I'm not the only one, feeling
Exactly.
this way. I'm a part of a couple of cool communities for various things, but specifically for business owners, it's like, okay, I'm not the only one struggling with X, Y, or Z, or hey, I was actually there and now I can encourage somebody. And I love what you said about the self worth, because I think that's so important. You see that not only in social work, but then you see that, in HR, and you see that just in work and employees, and they just kind of feel beat down, and leaders, it's like a cascade. The leaders feel a certain way, the employees feel a certain way, and HR is doing their best, or payroll, and it's just like all of these things. And I think that that's super important to have that understanding, like you said, of human centered design, of having that whole person. Because I don't think that you necessarily see that if you're not paying attention. You may recognize it or be like, oh, okay, but what am I going to do about it? It's something that's ignored. And so when you are intentionally trying to go, how can we really help the whole person? How can we really think through and make sure that they're seen, that they're heard, and modeling that? It's encouragement, it's all of those things. And I think that's absolutely
Yeah.
fantastic.
And so often we miss that step, right? We're going
Yeah.
so fast that we've forgotten how to slow down, even to
Yes.
connect with our own selves,
Yeah.
to even see our own self.
Yeah, no, I think that's super important. So concerning like Agile and HR, what
Mhm.
would somebody that's looking for something like Mindy
Yeah.
Services, what's that first step, or what does that look like for someone being
Mhm.
like, okay, I think I might need to engage Mindy, or what are some signs? What are some things that you normally see?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I don't know why, but typically companies are within 50 to 500 employees. I've
Okay.
definitely worked with companies that are larger than that, but I've often found that the unlock where I've been gifted to really take what I guess my superpowers to walk alongside someone have just often been company founders or HR leaders from organizations that are 50 to 500 employees. And typically, Roger, they are in a place of, hey, what got me here is no longer working. And we're supposed to be doing this like AI technology thing. And I feel like I am doing all the right things. I'm saying all the right things, but everyone seems confused. Maybe I'm speaking a foreign language. Why are we not making progress right now? I'm just overwhelmed. I'm in a place of fear, but they're not aware of that. And they're just like, help me think through this. And sometimes it looks like the HR person about to quit, the HR person thinks I can't do this. I'm frustrated. So reaching out to me and really, seeking to understand a better way, or team coming and saying, could you come and help us with the offsite and facilitate a strategic session to bring us together? We're not aligned and we need help realigning. And so, what door of conversation and dialogue will best help us get to some positive outcomes, and even helping them shape what is that outcome you're looking to achieve? At the end of the day, we're really helping solve for how do we reconnect the people in our organization to our vision, mission, and values if we've articulated and defined that well, and how work is done, and think about how are people getting work done here to
Yeah.
inform the right workflows and technology to be used to do that.
Yeah. I think you hit on a crucial part right there. Do we know what our goals are? And are we getting
Yeah.
people aligned to that? Are we
Mhm.
even aligned? Do we even have anything that's aligned to that? That's absolutely fantastic. I love that. Mindy, for either one of them, where can people find you and engage with you?
LinkedIn is the hub. I think LinkedIn is the mega hub for me in all things of what I'm doing. And, direct message me on there. I have a website for Agile and HR if you want to learn more. And we haven't gotten there quite yet with a website for Alt HR. That is to come. It's an evolution and process. Right now, we're a microsite within the People Forward network, but you can find the link on how to join us from LinkedIn.
Mindy, I really appreciate you coming out today and joining me. And it's been fabulous working with you and just being a part of what you're doing. I was blown away when we first were talking and you were like, oh, I was social work and I did this and I did Microsoft. And I said, whoa, what? I was like, wow, knowing here we are in HR, and I know I'm kind of out of the whole team, I'm really the only one that's not necessarily in HR or whatever. Just to hear your story and hopefully to hear their stories as well. It's just so fantastic to hear that.
Well, Roger, I thank you for seeing that. I just see your joy in your heart, and you are a people HR person without realizing it. And I mean, you are just such a super connector and being able to see in others what they don't see in themselves. And your wit, man, you just know how to brighten up a room. I just love our conversations because you see it from a unique perspective that brings such joy. And I think so many people often miss that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm very humbled by that. Thank you, Mindy. Well, Mindy, I really appreciate you coming out. I know that we will stay in contact. I'll put all your links in the description. Please reach out to Mindy. Thank you so much for coming out today. I'll talk to you later, Mindy.
Thank you so much. Bye.